I was listening to one of Glenn Beck's clips on YouTube, and he was talking about how abortion will be much worse under Kamala, because he was saying, I know you Trump supporters, you're upset because of Donald Trump's stance on abortion. You got the far left that says Trump's going to put in some nationwide abortion ban. He said he will not do that. He absolutely will not do that. As far as he says, it doesn't matter what he thinks. It's a state issue. But he will never put in a nationwide abortion ban, which it seems that your Glenn Becks, your Michael Knowles, your far-right holy Christians want that. And I'm here to say, no, I think they're wrong. I think they are part of the reason that there is wrath being laid down in this country. Because when all you care about, you radical Christian right, okay? I'm talking about the radical ones that think you're so holy because I care about never abortion. But you don't care about the kids that are raped and then forced to have that baby because of you? You tell God that's caring? Because people forget in the Old Testament, when God turned them over to their enemies, what happened to their children? What happened to the womb? They were all slain because God said that's it. So there's a couple of things to think about here. One is, do not be a hypocrite. If you want to pray outside abortion clinics, fine, okay, if that's going to, but I don't, since it's only gotten worse, then maybe reasoning here should, step back and say, okay, maybe God doesn't think I'm so holy because because I don't consider that I'm living in this land where children are molested. I don't even want to talk about the molestation that Catholic Church has done against children, do I? But then I would force those children to have a baby, wouldn't I? So I'm such a caring person. I get so heated about this issue because you know what? Do not be a hypocrite. Jesus was against hypocrites. Woe to you, hypocrites, hypocrites, hypocrites. Really didn't like the hypocrites. So if you are going to get on your channels, like all these Christian channels that want to carry on about how holy you are because you're against all abortion, you better make sure that you're standing right with God. Because the way I see it, that hasn't done any good, has it? Because you don't care about kids that are abused in the DCFS system. When are you out praying in front of DCFS's offices or standing up for them? Never. And you certainly never stand up against the Catholic Church that has every idol everywhere. So all of those things that made God angry, maybe that's why he's not hearing your prayers about abortion, is because you want to be hypocrites about everything else he said. As you do not know the way the spirit comes to the bones in the womb of a woman with child, so you do not know the work of God who makes everything. People don't know the works of God. Do you think that God would see me as that I'm damned because I'm not saying I don't care if they were raped and they got pregnant, they have to have it, protect life. I don't think so. I think God wanted people to care. Now, you have that side that says, yes, but they can have the baby and we'll help them. Okay, but that is not always your decision to make. And what if it is not in the best interest of that child? What if a mother's life is in danger? So then you want to be responsible for 2 murders because you want to tell God, oh, I stood on your word, I protected life, but I didn't give a shit about any of the kids that are being abused right now in this land. Because, see, that's what I think upsets God. Is the hypocrites. I really do, because the hypocrites are mentioned so much in the Bible. I think that's the one thing he does not want people to be is hypocrites. So you could stand up and pray outside the abortion clinic, carry on, but when you disregard all the children that have been molested by the Catholic Church, never call the Catholic Church out, if anything, you protect the Catholic Church, then I think God takes issue with that. And so what ends up happening is you have more wrath of children. You have more wrath that happens because God hands you over because you continue to want to be hypocrites. So this is something that happens in the Old Testament often. Then he said to me, the guilt of the house of Israel and Judah is exceedingly great. The land is full of blood and the city full of injustice. For they say the Lord has forsaken the land and the Lord does not see. As for me, my eye will not spare, nor will I have pity. I will bring their deeds upon their heads. kill old men outright, young men and maidens, little children and women, but touch no one on whom is the mark. I'll get to what the mark is. And begin at my sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were before the house. Then he said to them, defile the house and fill the courts with the slain. Go out. So they went out and struck in the city. And while they were striking, and I was left alone, I fell upon my face and cried, "O Lord God, will you destroy all the remnant of Israel in the outpouring of your wrath on Jerusalem?" And this is about the mark. Now the glory of God of Israel had gone up from the cherub on which it rested to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed in linen, who had the writing case at his waist. And the Lord said to him, pass through the city, through Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and groan over all the abominations that are committed in it. So that's who was receiving the mark that would be spared. The people that would receive the mark are the men who sigh and groan over all the abominations that are committed in it. So when you only carry on about it's an abomination about abortion, but you care less with the Catholic Church, the ongoing 100-year abuse against children, and you haven't stood up for that and that abomination, and you haven't stood up for the kids in the state system, the kids that are alive right now that could use your help, but instead all you do is carry on about abortion, then you don't sigh and groan and cry and care about all the abominations. You just want to, I'm holy in God's eyes because I'm against abortion. But even then, you don't sigh and groan because you should care that some poor child or some teenager, if they're molested and gets pregnant, you want to force them to have a baby. I'm not talking about late-term abortion. I'm not talking about mid-term abortion. I'm just talking about care here. I'm just talking about all the abominations. Don't be a hypocrite, because that's basically what this is saying. If you want to be a hypocrite, you won't receive God's mark of passing you over. And that's why this verse is so important. Set your minds on things that are above, not things that are on earth. But if you're going to carry on about abortion, and I've had people come in that call me a liberal, and it's like, I'm not even close, never have been. But they're your far right Christians so this is why I don't think Donald Trump, I think he figures it doesn't matter what his opinion is, each state has to decide. But yet Glenn Beck made this statement, and I thought, you people are such hypocrites. You're such hypocrites. And I believe that's what God would see. I do not believe that God would say, thank you so much for caring about all the abortion. I think instead he would say, but you never cared about speaking out against the Catholic Church and the long-time child abuse problem. Instead, you wanted to protect it and consider it a Christian church instead of doing the right thing. Instead of calling out all the abomination, you just wanted to stick with abortion. And what you don't realize is the abortion issue has gotten worse. I mean, now it's back at the states, but it's escalated because you don't care about all the other abominations. You only care about one. So see, I don't think God's okay with that. And maybe what has been happening is it's because when you're turned over to your enemies, it's God's wrath. That's God's judgment. So maybe those people that think that they know God so much, maybe they should every now and then maybe consider what somebody else says that's not as holy as them, maybe. That you just think somebody like me just doesn't know what I'm talking about. Maybe you should consider that. Since it doesn't seem to be moving the marker the way you want it to go, maybe it's because you need to care about all the injustices to all the children, most especially. If you're going to carry on about abortion, then you damn well better care about all of the children for the 100-year history that have been sexually molested, abused, some murdered in the Catholic Church, instead of protecting them. Because see, that I will guarantee you, with as much times as God and Jesus called out the hypocrites in the Bible, you're being hypocrites. So you're either doing it deliberately to lead others astray, or you're very misguided and you just think whatever this world's told you about God is right. And maybe you should consider what the non-experts are saying. Just a thought.